Maybach, a German luxury car brand that exists today as part of a Mercedes-Benz, was founded in 1909 by Wilhelm Maybach and his son, Carl Maybach. Its vehicles were known for their quality, performance, and unique features, and they were often used by royalty and dignitaries. These cars are typically long and large, with immense interiors and plenty of features. But did you know this $1.5 billion brand was started by a carpenter's orphaned son, and today, these cars are quite expensive, with prices starting at around $200,000. So, how did a carpenter's orphaned son start the luxury car brand Maybach? And how did Maybach become one of the most luxurious brands in the world? Let's get into it. But first, a reminder to subscribe if you enjoy remarkable true stories like this. Wilhelm Maybach's childhood. The story begins in Heilbronn, where the founder of Maybach, William Maybach, was born in 1846. He was the son of a carpenter, and when he was 8 years old, his family moved from Heilbronn to Stuttgart. After becoming orphaned at the age of 10, Maybach started his technical education in a vocational school, where his technical potential was recognized by the school's founder, who encouraged him to pursue it by placing him in the engineering workshop. Maybach participated in additional physics and math classes at Ruth Lingen's Public High School when he was 15 years old, and made the decision to pursue a career in industrial design. By the age of 19, he was a licensed designer working on stationary engines. His professional career began when Gottlieb Daimler's workshop manager appointed him as his senior assistant, getting into work in inventions. In 1869, Maybach went to the machine shop with Daimler in Kansas, and as a member of the executive committee, here they participated in many late-night discussions about new metalworking techniques, engines, and lumber technology. Later in 1872, Daimler moved to Deutsch RG Gas Motor and Fabric, which at the time was the biggest manufacturer of stationary gas engines in the world. Nicholas Otto, co-worker who was hired at the organization's head designer, focused on engine development alongside Daimler and Maybach. And finally in 1876, Nicholas Otto patented the Otto cycle engine with intake compression power and exhaust strokes. It was a 4-stroke gas internal combustion engine, and after one of Otto's more than 25 patents on this engine was challenged and overturned, Daimler and Maybach were able to manufacture their high-speed engine based on the idea. They constructed a forerunner to the modern gasoline engine in 1885, which they later installed in a two-wheeler. Daimler called it the grandfather clock engine, and it went on to power the first internal combustion motorcycle, a stagecoach, and a boat the next year. In the late 19th century, Maybach's creations were recognized as some of the best vehicles on the road, and in France's early automobile industry, where he was recognized as the industry's backbone after inspiring many French business people to launch their own. He became known as the king of the designers. Daimler starts. Then, not long after constructing the gasoline engine, two eventually decided to launch their own business and founded Daimler Motoren Gesellschaft, or Daimler Motor Corporation in English. The workshop was 2,903 square meters in size and cost 30,200 gold marks, which was the German Empire's currency at the time. They started off with 23 employees, with Daimler handling the commercial issues while Maybach handled the design division. The Mercedes motorized carriage was the simplest name for the vehicle. This was less impressive than later automobiles, and the company was unable to survive on the proceeds from the sale of the engines or the worldwide royalties from their patent, despite this accomplishment, so they decided to sell it. After the financiers Max von Dudenhofer and William Lorenz, both former weapons manufacturers, were brought in, the company was also made public using their patents. The corporation was re-established on November 28, 1890, and DMG used to expand, selling engines from Moscow to New York and increasing its capacity to produce stationary engines. But the conviction that automotive production would not be profitable persisted. Different projects. Then, between April and October 1900, Maybach created a completely new sort of racing vehicle that would become known as the Mercedes 35 horsepower when it was created in 1902. Emil Jelinek, a preposterous Austrian dealer and racer on the French Riviera, who admired Maybach's artistry, agreed to purchase 36 automobiles for 550,000 gold marks in exchange for Maybach creating a superb race car to his specifications. After being finished in December 1900, the prototype went on to win a number of races in 1901. The engine was given the name Mercedes after Emil's 10-year-old daughter, Mercedes Jelinek. High society buyers in Europe bought the car in large numbers, which led to a commercial success that convinced business executives that automobiles had a future. DMG swiftly expanded in size and personnel as production sharply increased. DMG formally registered the Mercedes trademark in June 1902. After being demoted, internal politics would force him to depart DMG, and he then brought up an old friend of his, Count Ferdinand von Zeppelin, the creator of the renowned Zeppelin airship. In 1900, Maybach had its first encounter with Count Ferdinand von Zeppelin, who wanted to upgrade the engines of the Zeppelin 1Z1 airship. While working at DMG, Maybach built a number of engines based on plans for the 150 horsepower engine his son Carl had created. In 1908, Zeppelin wanted to sell the government his IZ-3 and IZ-4 models. However, on August 5th, IZ-4 attempted an emergency landing after its engines failed and detonated against a line of trees. After the disaster, a fundraising effort raised 6.25 million gold marks, showing that the airship project was still very much alive. Count Zeppelin founded the opulent Schiffbauer Zeppelin GmbH to better manage the project, which produced the Zeppelin airships. Due to his ongoing legal dispute with DMG, Maybach was temporarily unable to join the new company. Carl filled his role. A deal was reached on March 23, 1909, creating the Luftwaffe Zeppelin subsidiary in Bischen-Wittenberg. Wilhelm Maybach served as the technical assistant, and Carl Maybach served as the technical manager. The top speed of the early prototypes was 72 kilometers per hour, or 45 miles per hour. After World War I. After the First World War, Maybach moved its attention to high-speed diesel engines for train and navy purposes, as well as gasoline engines for automobiles, but not whole autos. Only the Dutch Spyker company was interested in employing Maybach engines, while many minor German automakers manufactured their own engines because of cost concerns. And finally, in 1921, the factory started making Maybach limousines. The most impressive of Maybach's works during this time would be the laying of the groundwork for the 1932 Maybach DS-8 Zeppelin, a vehicle that wouldn't be finished until after his death. The DS-8 was one of the most potent production cars in the world at the time because of the 8-liter V12 engine, which delivered 149 kilowatts and 200 brake horsepower at 3,200 RPM. Based on the weight of the coach, a top speed of 106 miles per hour, or 171 kilometers per hour, is possible. He adopted the name Count Zeppelin as a tribute to the engineering prowess he had demonstrated with airships. Company during the mid-20th century and today. Then in 1929, after Wilhelm Maybach's passing, the business was succeeded by his son Carl Maybach. During World War II, Maybach built and created almost all of the engines for the tanks and half-tracks employed by the German military forces. These heavy tanks featured the well-known Panther I, Tiger I, and Tiger II models. In accordance with a licensing agreement, Maybach started producing enormous Daimler-Benz engines in Frederick, South Carolina in the early 1960s. At that time, the business was purchased and included into the Mercedes-Benz line of vehicles. Mercedes-Benz used well-known figures like golfer Nick Faldo and Maybach's heirs Ulrich Schmidt to promote the new Maybach range, which launched with the 57 and 62 models. As of October 2011, only 44 Maybachs have been sold in the country, so after considering several ideas, it was decided to simply end Maybach. The Maybach brand would gradually disappear in 2012 to make room for the new Mercedes-Benz S-Class vehicles. Then, Daimler announced that the Maybach name would be brought back as a Mercedes-Benz S-Class W222 sub-brand. Prior to its launch in April 2015, the flagship Mercedes-Benz S600 was unveiled at a car event in Los Angeles, California, and Guangzhou, China. Although on a smaller scale than before, the Maybach name nevertheless stands as a symbol of the crown of what Mercedes-Benz is capable of. This is the story of a Maybach that was built by a carpenter's son, but just because of his hard work, it's a billion-dollar brand now. What's your opinion about the motivational story? And have you already heard of Wilhelm Maybach? Please let us know in the comment box. And if you'd like to see more inspiring business videos, make sure to check out our channel.